Welcome to my class. Today's discussion for the topic is solid state properties. Coming to the content of the topic, that is crystal properties and polymorphism. Second topic for the discussion is techniques for study of crystal properties. Then solid state stability we can discuss now. Again we are going to discuss about the flow properties of powder, segregation and its importance. We will try to cover all these topics in this today's discussion for this video. Crystal properties. Crystals differs in physical properties, that is hardness, cleavage, optical properties, heat conductivity and electrical conductivity. On these properties the crystal properties are they will change from one crystal to another crystal. Their properties are going to be changes. These properties are very important because they sometimes determine the use to which the crystals are put in industry. Based on these properties only the crystals are selected for the industry purpose. Example, crystalline substances that have special electrical properties which are much used in communication equipments. The crystals which are having high electrical properties, that type of crystals are used in the communication equipments. These includes quartz and rockhill salt. So because these are having the high electrical properties, because of these high electrical properties they are used in these industries, which supplies the voltage or the application of mechanical forces. With the help of mechanical force they will supply the high voltage, they will provide electricity, that is piezoelectric effect, we are calling it as a piezoelectric effect. And germanium, silicon, galena and silicon carbide, which carry current unequally in different crystallographic directions as semiconductor rectifiers. So based on these crystals only they are going to finalize the properties. Polymorphism. So in material science, polymorphism describes the existence of a solid material in more than one crystalline form. That is the definition for the polymorphism. We all know that the polymorphism means it is the existing of the polymorphs in more than one crystalline form. That is called as polymorphism. And the mechanism is called as polymorphism. The polymorphism is a form of isomerism, any crystalline material which can exhibit the phenomena. The allotropy refers to the polymorphism for chemical elements. Polymorphism is of practical relevance to pharmaceutical, agrochemical pigments, dyestuffs, food and explosives. According to IUPAC, a polymorphic transition is a reversible transition for a solid's crystalline phase at a certain temperature and pressure. The inversion point, which is called as at a point where the transition of the solids can be changes, which is called as the inversion point, to another phase of the same chemical composition with a different crystalline structure. The composition will be same, whereas its structure is going to be altered. Its structure is going to be changed at a inversion point, which is called as the inversion point. This inversion point is observed at particular temperature. Then the material with two polymers are called as dimorphic, with three polymers and trimorphic as a trimorphic. We are calling is a monomorphic, dimorphic and trimorphic polymorphic forms. Based on the structure is going to be changed, whereas the chemical composition of that particular compound will not be altered. We cannot see any alteration or changes in its chemical composition, whereas its structure is going to be different. It is called as the inversion point. It is a point at which the structure of the polymorph compounds is going to be changes, whereas the chemical composition will not going to be altered. Coming to the techniques, well, let us see what are the techniques are there for crystal property. To study the crystal property, there is crystallography. Under the crystallography we can study about X-ray diffraction, single crystal X-ray diffraction, X-ray powder diffraction, that is called as XRPD, which is called X-ray powder diffraction, single crystal X-ray diffraction and X-ray diffraction. By using these three, any one of these three methods we can study the crystal property. Means we can study about the polymorphic form of crystals, whether the composition is same or change, or the crystal structure has been changed or it may be the same. These all things can be studied under the crystallography. Another thing, that is morphology. So we can study the external surface of the crystal, what is the shape, what is the size, and other parameters can be covered under the morphology. The color also we can see through the morphology. Coming to microscopy, Optical microscopy is followed, but here not the normal optical microscopy. We are following here the polarizing optical microscopy. Second one is the thermal microscopy, the phase transition, which is called as thermal method of analysis, TMA. We are called as it. All these methods are followed. Again, we can see phase transition. Thermal method of analysis, again we can use here for phase transition. Thermogravimetry, differential thermal analysis, we call as a DTA, differential scanning colorimetry, called as DSC. So any one of these methods are used for studying the phase transition. Thermogravimetry, whereas thermogravimetry and thermal method of analysis can be followed for studying of the phase transition. Next method, thermal method of analysis, very important technique for study the crystal properties, that is thermal method of analysis. In this method, it can be defined as those techniques in which a property of analyte is determined as a function of an externally applied temperature. Regardless, means without any particular of the observable parameter measured, the usual practice requires that the physical properties and the sample be recorded continuously and automatically, and that the sample temperature be altered at a predetermined rate. The temperature, there is no particular fixation of this temperature. In this thermal method of analysis, the temperature can be variable. It can be altered. There is no fixed temperature should be maintained. There is not a condition that you have to maintain a fixed condition at a predetermined time, predetermined rate. The temperature can be altered based on the requirement. Measurement of thermal analysis are conducted for the purpose of evaluating the physical and chemical changes that may take place in the heated sample. So measurement of this analysis are conducted for the what for the purpose for evaluating the physical and chemical changes which takes place during the heating condition, that can be measured by thermal method of analysis, requiring that the operator interrupt the events noted in the thermogram. This all changes whatever we are observing, that all has to be recorded, or it has to be measured under the one particular thermogram. Then we can understand and at what temperature what changes has been observed. Based on these thermogram reports, we can understand there. Thermal reaction can be of endothermic reaction, such as melting, boiling, sublimation, vaporization, dissolution, solid state phase transition, and again the chemical degradation, etc. Or the exothermic reactions. The exothermic reactions such as crystallization, oxidation, decomposition, or oxidative decomposition, which is naturally occurring in the nature. Based on these two reactions, the thermal method of analysis can be studied. Coming to the next stage, that is the measurement. Next study for the determination of crystalline property, solid state stability. The analysis is a very important aspects of drug stability testing. It is an important aspect for drug stability testing, that is solid state stability. We have to understand what is the solid material, what is its state, whether it is amorphous state or crystalline state, and its stability parameters we have to understand. It identifies the stable storage conditions for a drug. By studying the solid state stability, we can understand what is the stable condition, what is the storage condition of the drug, whether it can be able to store in that particular temperature or not. That can be understood by studying the solid state stability. And also it investigate any physical or chemical properties of the drug molecule that may affect the stability of the drug product. Physical chemical properties, properties such as physical form, such as melting point, boiling point, as well as the physical forms, its shape, it will come, texture, this all coming under the physical property. And chemical properties such as the chemical reactions, whether it is acidic, it is soluble acidic, or it is a basic, or it is alkaline, we can determine its nature. All these things can be studied under the solid state stability. Then forced degradation studies forced degradation studies speed up the solid state API breakdown in various ways. Photolytic stability also studied to evaluate the solid state of API reaction to whether it is light resistant or it is air resistant. That can be studied. Whereas again some such as the oxidative stability studies. These oxidative stability studies are used to examine the solid state API resistance, whether the API we are using, whether the drug what we are using here, whether it is resistant to oxidative reactions or not. That can be studied under the solid state stability conditions. Forced degradation, photolytic stability, and oxidative stability, these three studies are mainly focused for the solid state stability conditions. Force degradation studies. This force degradation studies depends speed up the solid state API breakdown in various ways. What is this study? The solid state pharmaceutical chemicals can break down due along a wide range of different kinetic pathway in order to determine a drug candidate stability, extreme of temperature, chemicals, aggregation, mechanical force and chemical damage and other stressors must be applied according to known and suspected degradation pathway. The API's reaction to each stressor must be carefully recorded and analyzed at each step of the process. Means what here? At this solid state pharmaceutical chemicals can break down due to along a wide range of different kinetic pathway. When the powder material following particular pathways at the time, there is a chances of breakdown to determine the drug candidate stability, to determine to how much withstand the powder with extreme at high temperatures, chemical aggregation, mechanical forces when they are applied, or chemical damages has been observed. The stressor must be applied according to known the suspected degradation pathway. When all these forces are applied on particular substance, at what level it is going to withstand, it can be studied from the force degradation studies. Finally, the API reactions to each stressor must be carefully recorded. Means whatever the reactions are going to be observed after applying the chemical aggregation, mechanical force, chemical damage, whatever the changes they are are going to be happen on that substance, it has to be properly recorded. After recording, then it has to be analyzed at each particular process of the step. Like this way, various types of force degradation studies should be performed throughout the development of the process. The drug product should be tested at high and low dose concentration. These drug products are subjected to various temperature, extreme temperatures, various chemical aggregation, mechanical force, chemical damages. It has to be exposed. After exposing the powder sample, the drug substance has to be exposed at or tested at high concentration as well as low concentration, unique to a specific particular product. Each sample should be subjected to stress from high temperature, kinetic force, any other likely pathway of degradation, but care must be taken not to exceed the intensity of realistic potential stressor. But you have to perform the experiment, you have to apply so many stresses and forces can be applied, but while applying the stresses and forces, each one has to take care that it should not go for extreme, it should not go beyond the limit, so that the totally there is a chances of degradation. So to avoid the process of prevent the damage of the main component, what we have to do, we have to perform the experiment, but within the limits we have to perform. If it is exceeding the limit, what happens? It finally causes damage to that particular powder. Photolytic stability studies evaluate the solid state API reaction to light and air. The photodegradation typically results from exposure to air and sunlight and takes the forms of hydrolysis and oxidation reactions. Unlike degradation due to kinetic factors or temperature extremes, photodegradation can occur even in ordinary storage conditions also. What they are saying here, in photodegradation, which is results of exposure to air, photodegradation itself indicating that is experiment is performed under the presence of light or air or in the absence of air, which takes forms of hydrolysis or oxidation reactions occurs. Unlike degradation due to kinetic factors or temperature extreme, photodegradation can occur even at ordinary temperature, whereas the degradation process such as kinetic factors, they require particular condition, but here the ordinary storage condition is sufficient for photolytic stability. So if a pharmaceutically packaging material fails to provide adequate reaction from sunlight, thus what happens before a drug candidate is prepared for shipping, its photolytic stability must be assessed. Before shipping, before final packing, after final packing and before shipping, before the product is launched into the market, before that what we have to do, there is a photostability studies has to be done. It initiates a photochemical reaction. It says whether the product is photochemically stable or not, that can be assessed, that can be analyzed. The solid state chemical is bombarded with photons whose energy is absorbed by the API molecules. This absorbed energy rapidly pushes the configuration of that molecular structure into an excited state, which may or may not be kinetically stable depending on a range of chemicals and environmental factors. If the molecular structure is unable to maintain its stability, it may decompose into high energy fragment which reacts with other molecules fragments as they dissipate into the surrounding environment as pollutant. What they are trying to say here in this slide, they are trying to say that I'm trying to say that to initiate a photochemical reaction, the solid substances or chemical has to be subjected to bombardment with photons, then whose energy is absorbed by the API molecules. After bombarding with the photons, the energy is absorbed by the drug substance, active molecule. This absorbed energy, what happens? It will pushes the configuration of that molecular structure into an excited state. It will push the configuration into a higher peak state. What happens when it reaches to peak state, which may or may not be kinetically stable? It may or may not. If the drug is stable, then it will remain as it is. If it is not stable, then what are the changes we are observing? Depending on the range of chemical and environmental factor, based on this factor, if the molecular structure is unable to maintain its stability, it may decompose. If when it reaches the higher level, when it is having high configuration of energy is absorbed, at the time what happens there, it goes for degradation with high energy fragment. It go for damaging. If it is remain stable, then no reactions are going to be observed, which react with other molecule fragment as they dissipate into surrounding environment as pollutant. They finally we can observe it as in the form of a pollutant. Oxidative stability studies. So to examine the solid state API's resistance to oxidation reaction, whether the drug molecule what you are selected for the stability studies, whether it is stable for oxidation or not, that can be studied here. So in an oxidation reaction, the electrons are transferred between molecules, resulting in a gain of oxygen relative to other atoms. This reaction causes the breakdown of many type of organic and inorganic molecules. The exact rate at which it occurs in a given solid state chemical depends on many factors, including temperature such as pH, as well as presence of water. Certain acids and other catalysts can be required for the performing the process of oxidation reaction. Here the main component we are observing is the electrons are going to be transferred between the molecules. When the electrons are going to be transferred between the molecules, what is the result? The result we have gain observing the oxygen relative to other forms. Gain of oxygen to other atoms. This reaction causes the breakdown of many types of organic and inorganic molecules. Thereby breaking down of inorganic and organic substances can be observed. The exact rate at which it occurs in a given solid state chemical depends on many factors, including temperature and pH, as well as presence of water, certain acids and other catalysts. Despite the fact that oxidation poses a hazard to many drug products, its precise chemical pathway have been studied relatively little in comparison with other threats such as photodegradation. Means to study about the photodegradation only, we are performing the oxidative stability. Means whether the drug is oxidatively it is stable, it is prone to oxidation or not. To understand that one only, we are performing the oxidative stability study. To some degree, however, this lack of research on oxidation is justified because oxidative degradation can be mitigated simply by keeping the drug out of direct sunlight and by adding antioxidant to the drug formulation. Means the drug is not directly exposed to the external environment, it is kept inside the closed chamber, but we are adding the oxidative antioxidants we are added, and within the closed chamber only we are studying about the stability. Flow. Next, coming to the flow property of powders. The flow properties affect the packing dynamic efficiency and flowability. Few such flow properties and techniques are as follows listed out here. We can see one by one. That is powder spreadability, dynamic and static angle of response, packing, flowability, electrostatic charges. All these are coming under the powder flow property. Powder flow property is also helpful to understand whether the powder is having proper its stuffness, proper binding particles are there, so that we can measure the height. What we are observing, we have in performing the experiment for angle of repose, powder flow property, that is spreadability also included under this experiment. The contact, that is static angle of response. Whether by studying the flow property we can understand what is the packing procedure, how the powder is going to be packed inside the drug, the tablets, or in the form of spheres, in the form of granules. If the powder property is not good, then the packing cannot be done properly at the end of the preparation of the tablets. Flowability can also be understood with the help of the flow property, because once the powder is free from the friction, it is having less interparticle friction, then only the flowability of the powder can be enhanced or it can be increased. As well as the electrostatic charges is also playing the crucial role. How flow properties of the powder can be determined? Some of the most common applied methods are there. So to determine the flow properties, that is density in cities such as Karst index, Hausner ratio, powder avalanching, the angle of repose, as we have discussed, AOR. Angle of repose is the most widely accepted method for study of the flow property. Flow through an orifice, powder rheometry, and shear cell testing. These all methods can be used for study of the flow property of the powder, which can be determine the flow behavior. Next, why flow property of the powder is important? To achieve the better manufacturing efficiency, and we like to study the powder quality. What is the quality of the powder? Processing industry. A predictable powder flow is of greater importance. So once the powder flow properties understand, then we can be able to determine how much it can be stable. Based on that only we can understand. To avoid the capacity shortfall and production interruption, and that involves costly loss of the production time. If you understand the production property, flow property of the powder, we can easily understand what is the time consumption of the powder, so falling from the hooper, so that we can go for easily packing conditions, as well as we can reduce the time also. Next, segregation and its importance. The waste segregation means sorting out of the waste. Sorting out of the waste means reducing the waste of the material, to divide junk into dry and wet, so that dry waste gets recycled and wet waste can be composted. Dry waste is recycled, whereas the wet waste materials are there, they are composed, they are setting outside. Segregation of the waste has become very important to avoid crises like health issues, pollution, etc. This segregation of waste is important properly disposing of the vast amount of garbages modern society produces in an environmentally conscious manner. Different components of waste have very different properties, and grouping them by type allows for proper storage. So hope you understand from this topic for the discussion. If you like this video, please share and subscribe for the updated videos. Thank you one and all for being with us. So for the discussion, end of the discussion, before concluding, let us make a topic once again, recall here once again. Today's class we have discussed about the crystal properties and properties of the powder. For studying of the properties of powder, there are several methods are available, but the easiest method for studying the flow property or flow behavior of the powder is the angle of repose, Karst index, Hausner inverse. By studying these flow properties of the powder, we can reduce the production time, we can understand the behavior of the powder, we can determine whether the powder may be stable or unstable, what is the actual property of the powder can be understand. Based on that property only we can go for further formulation procedures. Unless and until we don't understand the property of behavior, property of the powders, it becomes difficult for the formulator that what is the actual nature of the powder, whether we have to go for preparing one dosage form, one formulation, or another formulation we can prepare, or else we have to stop here only. That can be concluded from the flow property of the powders. So for understanding all these parameters, we need to study the flow behavior of a powder, which is much required in the one of the important and very important aspect in the pre-formulation parameter. Pre-formulation studies, before going to formulation, we have to study about the powders is very much required here.